surface finish gauge. This is the Surfanalyzer. We've got the head here. There's a tiny little probe that runs under this shield. And it's going to move about, we have it set right now to move about 1/4 of an inch. That can be adjusted depending on the length of your part and the surface that you want to measure. Typically, the rougher the surface finish, the longer length you're supposed to take on that item to get an accurate surface finish reading. Again, we're not going to worry too much about that today because we're just trying to get familiarized with the machinery. So what this does is you take and you line up that probe on whatever item you want to measure. It's attached to this screen over here. Several different things going on here, but the key is whenever you want to start to do a measurement, you want to come up here and you want to click on Start. And you'll see that in the center of the screen, you've now got this configuration that shows you this red bar going down to the bottom of the screen. That's a pressure indicator of how hard you're touching the probe. And you want to try to get towards 0. That basically sets your starting point. For the gauge to work, it has to be in green. The closer you get to the center, that changes your starting point. So I'm going to lower the gauge down here. A couple of things to keep in mind using this gauge. There are 5 different knobs on here. This big one in back is the coarse adjust. This knob here you do not want to touch. That changes the angle of the gauge, and when we take this measurement, you can see that somebody touched this knob because it's no longer perfectly flat. So we don't want to do that because it ends up running off screen and then you don't get a measurement at all. This button here that says do not touch, we don't want to touch that one. It will unscrew this head off of the post and it will fall off and break. Just for reference, this particular machine is about $20,000. The fragile probe at the front of it is a couple of $100. Has a diamond tip on it, so we're going to try not to break it. This is URI. It's hard to get a replacement equipment. This knob here also changes the angle, so we don't want to touch that one. This one, though, we are allowed to touch. The knob on the top on the left is the fine adjust. Okay, so I'm going to use the coarse adjust back here, and I'm going to lower my gauge down onto our part. Now, if you remember from recitation, we talked about surface finish. And it's the irregularities of a surface that we're going to trace. So I'm going to do the back of this calculator. Again, somebody in one of the remote groups has this calculator. And we're going to come down here. And we have to watch the screen now to see when we're starting to touch. Okay? So right now it's still red, so we know we're not touching. As we get closer and closer. There we go. So see, now we're in green. We want to try to get this towards the center, which is honestly really hard to do with the knob in the back. The knob in the back is hard to turn. So we can use this little knob in the front. Try to get it towards the middle. That just sets the starting point for our graph. Now, once we've got that pretty close to 0, we're going to come over here and click on OK. And the little probe is now moving. Now the black shield itself doesn't move, only the probe underneath. And you can see it drawing a line across the screen, and you can see it's not a perfectly straight line. That's because, again, it's out of level. Somebody touched the knobs that they weren't supposed to. After it's done tracing that, it normalizes the line onto this graphical display. So you see now we have this blue line running across. And that shows us what the surface is of the back of our dollar store calculator. It gives us a range here, so we've gone 0.05 inches, divided it into sections. So here we have 0.01 of an inch in each of these 5 sections. You could actually measure features using this capability. I'll show you that next. But for our purposes of just the back of this calculator, we want to look at our RA value. So what we talked about last week in recitation is that's our average surface roughness. So in our case, that's 41.7 microinches. That's somewhat rough. When you look at your graphical display up here, you'll see that the y-axis changes depending on how rough something is. So you can't really just look at how variable the blue squiggle is because it always looks variable. You have to look at that axis on the y value and your RA value. Don't worry about the RZ and the RP, but one other thing we can do with this gauge is actually measure really small depths. So we see that we've got a sticker on the back of our calculator here. And what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to get us back to start, and I'm going to bring this down so that we're on the sticker to start. And it's actually going to travel off of the sticker, and our RT value is going to give us the height of that sticker. So we're going to start off on here. All right. Why won't it go? All right, so now we're measuring across and we see our blue line. It's a little glary, but that's okay. We're on our sticker. Am I going to make it off before we run out of space? Oh no. We did not make it off the sticker. So right now we just got our surface finish of the sticker. Hold on, take two. Let me move over further. This is what happens when you're working live. All right, I'm going to come back down. I'm going to set it closer to the edge of the sticker this time. All right. All right, so we're measuring across our sticker. There we go.
There's the bump.
We just fell off the edge of our sticker, so you can see that we had a decrease there. So now we're back onto the surface of our calculator. And when we get our final results, we're going to see, we're not going to pay too much attention to the RA this time because we have this variation caused by the depth of the sticker. But our RT actually gives us the height of that sticker. So our sticker is 983.9 microinches high. All right, so there is our Surfanalyzer and a couple of different things that you can do with that.